Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching this video. I am Professor Ruben Ramos, and this is another asynchronous class on superhero comic books in nowadays society. Today we start Scott McCloud's chapter 7, which is called The Six Steps. He opens the chapter with a series of different frames which cannot be considered comic books because these frames are placed in no juxtaposition and no sequential order. They are just random frames, but they have a meaning, they have a significance. Some are daily routine icons, some are technologies, some are cultural instances, among others. And the reason for them to be displayed over here is started to be explained by Scott McCloud. Comics is just one of many forms of self-expression and communication available to us. So far, we've mostly dealt with the unique properties of comics, but there are properties that comics share with all other art forms. Though it seems innocuous enough now, there was a time when such a simple idea was ridiculed. Even today, there are those who ask the question, can comics be art? It is, I'm sorry, a really stupid question. But if we must answer it, the answer is yes, especially if your definition of art is as broad as mine. Art, as I see it, is any human activity which doesn't grow out of either of our species' two basic instincts, survival and reproduction. Grrr! Eek! Example. Here's a prehistoric male chasing a prehistoric female with only one thing on his mind, reproduction. So strong is this instinct that it governs his every move. Not one step is wasted in the pursuit of his goal. The female, afraid for her survival, manages to hide. Now, deprived of his goal, the male stands indecisive. Suddenly, roar! Now, all of his thoughts and actions are focused on that other vital human instinct, survival. Again, his legs propel him forward with maximum efficiency. Trapped on the edge of a cliff, his mind can only conceive of one path to survival. He takes it and survives. Roar! His next move might be to look for food, survival, or perhaps another female, reproduction. But instead, art. It's a happy fact of human existence that we simply can't spend our every waking hour eating and having sex. No matter how frantically we pursue our goals, there will inevitably be times when we just don't have a thing to do. Uh, uh, um, What may look like a tribe of bored, inactive cave dwellers below us is, in fact, a thriving art colony. See that old woman with the stick? Notice the lines she's making in the dirt. Today she has a stomachache, and her lines are tight and angular. Yesterday she felt better, and her lines were open and curved. And over there, a man beats a simple rhythm with a pair of stones. He doesn't know why, but the sound pleases him. Nearby, a boy kicks up pebbles and dirt and pummels the air with his fist. Today, he lost a fight with his brother. Now all he can do is dance away his frustration. While over here, a little girl sings her song of youth. Doo doo, yip, bip, 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 gee, ga, wook, wook. Because of its independence from our evolution bred instincts, art is the way we assert our identities as individuals and break out of the narrow roles nature cast us in. Of course, the genius of Mother Nature is such that even these things do have their uses from an evolutionary standpoint. Three, in fact. First, they provide exercise for minds and bodies not receiving outside stimulus. Second, they provide an outlet for emotional imbalance, aiding in the race's mental survival. Third, and perhaps most importantly, to our survival as a race, such random activities often lead to useful discoveries. ah! The first function, which is exercise for bodies and minds, would also be performed in later centuries by sports and games. The second one, which is an outlet for an emotional imbalances, states that art as self-expression, the artist as hero for many, its highest purpose. And the third, which is for useful discoveries, states art as discovery, as the pursuit of truth, as exploration, the soul of much modern art and the foundations of language, science, and philosophy. A lot has changed in 500,000 years, but some things never change. Oh no, I'm gonna be late for that job interview. The processes are more complex now, but the instincts, along with their many related feelings and customs, remain the same. Survival and reproduction still hold the upper hand. Yet, in almost everything we do, there is at least an element of art. Perhaps a little unnecessary choreography on the assembly line. Ooh, beep, beep. Or the personal style of a bicycle messenger. Honk, honk. Or just the way we sign our names. In some occupations, the latitude for self-expression is greater. Survival, making a living, goes hand in hand with the creative desire. I think it's fair to say that some activities have more art in them than others. Life is a series of minute decisions, some motivated by survival, some not, and proportions do vary. But to proclaim, as so many so often do, that that's not art presumes that art is an either or proposition. Sorry, I don't think it is. Rare is the person in any occupation who expresses mourning, and rare is the artist who cares nothing for success, E-I-E-A, I'm sorry, i.e. survival. But the ideal of the latter is alive in the hearts of many artists who may hope for success but won't alter their work to obtain it. The fine artist, the pure artist, says to the world, I didn't do this for money. I didn't do this to match the colors of your couches. I didn't do this to get laid. I didn't do this for fame or power or the greed or anything else. I did this for art. In other words, my art has no practical value whatsoever, but it is important. And sometimes it is, though it might take a century or two for the rest of the world to find out. Pure art is essentially tied with the question of purpose, of deciding what you want out of it, or of art. This is as true in comics as it is painting, writing, theater, film, sculpture, and any other form, because the creation of any work in any medium, because the creation of any work in any medium will always follow a certain path. A path consisting of 6 steps, going left to right. First one, idea or purpose. Second one, form. Third one, idiom. Fourth one, structure. Fifth one, craft. Sixth one, surface. First, the impulses, the ideas, the emotions, the philosophies, the purposes of the work, the work's content. Second, the form it will take. Will it be a book, a chalk drawing, a chair, a song, a sculpture, a pot holder, a comic book? Third, the school of art, the vocabulary of styles or gestures or subject matter, the genre that the work belongs to, maybe a genre of its own. Number 4, structure, putting it all together, what to include, what to leave out, how to arrange, how to compose the work. Fifth, constructing the work, applying skills, practical knowledge, invention, problem solving, getting the job done. And sixth, production values, finishing, the aspects most apparent on first superficial exposure to the work. In all the arts, it is the surface that people appreciate most easily, like an apple chosen for its shiny skin. The latest fan favorite, often looks better at a glance than the older artists who had the ideas and created the idioms, but were okay, but were less interested in surfaces. But often, if we bite into that shiny new apple, crunch, hollow. It's a cycle as old as art itself. In comics, the cycle begins all over the world as young readers discover comics for the first time and, in a few cases, begin to develop a love for comics that will last a lifetime. In this early stage, these readers are experiencing the characters, ideas, events, and emotions of the story directly. Comics is acting as intermediary between storyteller and audience. But in some awareness of the form begins to develop, and awareness that all comics are just in ink on paper, that taking them, that making them only requires certain skills, and that those skills can be learned. I think I'll repeat the idea, maybe it was not very clear. In this early stage, these readers are experiencing the characters, ideas, events, and emotions of the story directly. Comics is acting as an intermediary between storyteller and audience. But in some, an awareness of the form begins to develop, an awareness that all comics are just ink on paper, that making them only requires certain skills, and that those skills can be learned. One of them, full of big ideas, makes the big decision: I'm gonna make comics when I grow up. He's off to a logical start. He has the ideas and he's chosen comics as his form of expression. Maybe now he'll consider what types of comics are right for him. So we have number one, idea, and number two, form. But probably not. More likely, he postpones his own ideas and begins to study the craft of other artists in his attempt to become a professional. He buys the right brush, the right pens, and the right paper and begins to practice. Eventually, look, Jack, I can draw as well as a professional. Wow, number six, surface. But when he brings the work to a real professional at the local Comic Con, in this case con, anatomy is very poor. See how that muscle connects and that perspective. Yeesh. Do you know what a vanishing point is? And as for faces, gloop. So he buys some books on anatomy and perspective studies, a variety of drawing techniques, and practices for months. But somehow it never quite clicks for him. Maybe he just doesn't have enough skill. Maybe he loses interest. Maybe life just gets in the way. But for whatever reason, he leaves his dreams of making comics behind. But all over the world, others have undergone similar experiences and haven't given up yet. We are gonna stop right here and continue on our next asynchronous class. Thank you so much. See ya. Bye bye.